Hi, I'm Johnny and you're watching the Hexy Beast. And I'm back after a short break to cover this game right here in a solo review for Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game from the Op. I just want to say that I was provided a review copy of this game, so with that out of the way, let's just get on with the review, shall we? So this is Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game. A good day for a swell battle. Serve up the fast-paced, unpredictable action of your favourite vintage-style video game on the tabletop with Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game. Play as Cuphead, Mugman, Ms. Chalice and Elder Kettle in this cooperative speed-based game. Move, shoot and parry your way through multi-stage boss battles. Dodge, damage and defeat dastardly enemies, earn coins to upgrade your weapons at Porcine's Emporium, and keep playing for a personal best grade in this ever-evolving challenge. So, let's just set the game up and see how it plays, shall we? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do for setting up a solo game is we're just going to take the board and place it in front of us, and then we're just going to take these wallop cards and shuffle them up and place them by here. Then we're going to grab one of these save sheets and put our name here, like so. And we're also going to choose a character. As well as that, we're going to unlock the first deck. So let's do that now by circling this. And of the 4 characters available today, we're going to go with Cuphead, the old original guy. So we're just going to lay him up nearby. And we're just going to mark that down on our character sheet. So that's Cuphead. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to place a supply of these parry tokens, some coins and some time tokens, and I'll explain them as we get to use them. Okay, now I'm just going to grab a dice tray and a set of dice for Cuphead himself. I'm also going to put 3 starting health onto Cuphead's player board. Okay, now all we need to do is place this dial here to mark our boss's health, and then we're going to grab boss deck number 1 from out of the box. Okay, so the way these decks works is that you don't shuffle them at this point. What you do first is you'll take this top card off. In this case, it just tells us the pack out order. And this top card here will tell us how much HP we're going to use in each player count. And in this case, because we're playing a solo game, we're going to set it to 6 HP. So I'm just going to set this dial to 6. Place the card in its standee, which comes with the game, and put it at this spot on the board. Then I'm going to take every one of these root pack cards until I hit this stop card, and I'm going to set these aside for now because we're going to be using them in future stages. Right now, all we need to worry about is this root pack deck, and we're just going to shuffle that up and place it into the draw deck spot by here. Okay, so a game of Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game is broken up into 3 phases per round, and the first phase we have to do is draw cards, and we basically draw 3 cards to go in these spaces, which is basically going to be the enemy's attacks against us. Okay, so as you can see, there's some symbols on these cards, and these are basically the symbols we're going to be trying to match up in our rolling phase. So once we go into the 3rd phase, which will be a resolution phase, to see which ones we've actually succeeded in. Any of these that we fail will actually damage our HP by 1. And if we run out of HP, we basically are going to die. But there is a way around that, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so these are basically the faces on the dice. And the first one is a jump symbol, this one is a run symbol, this one is a duck symbol, this one is a parry symbol, this one is the wallop symbol, and this one is the shoot symbol. You may also notice that one of them is black. This is our X dice, and I'll basically show you how that works now. Okay, so each character starts with just the basic pea shooter, and as you can see, for any normal shoot action, it will deal 1 damage. But if we use the X, which is this black die, so it says when using the X die to shoot, deal 2 damage instead of 1. So if we can shoot with this black dice, it means that we're basically going to be able to do double damage, which is a good thing for us. Okay, so that brings us on to the next part of the term, which will be rolling the dice. In a minute, you'll see me open an app where I set a timer, and then I'm going to be rolling these quite frantically. But basically, the way it works is that you get to roll your dice unlimited amount of times in the timer in order to complete those challenges and maybe do some damage. And a few golden rules to remember is that you're always going to have to resolve these from left to right. So you can't just start here and then start filling in this one. You've got to start with this one first, then this one, and then this one. You do have the option to skip one, but just remember you are going to take damage from it if you do choose to skip one. Another rule we got to remember when we're rolling as well is that we cannot apply damage to anything that's already got 2 dice slots full on it. There is only 2 dice slots per attack coming from that enemy. So anyway, let's open this app up and see what happens. Okay, so all we have to do in the app is choose how many players. In this case, we're going for 1. We're going for the first boss, and the timer length, if you look, is either 10, 15 or 20 seconds. And this is basically the difficulty of the game. So I have 20 seconds to roll those dice as many times as I can in order to stop getting hit by those attacks and maybe shoot on that middle one if I'm lucky, so that I can deal some damage. So let's give that a try. So I'm just going to pick the 20-second timer. I'm going to click the ready button. Now, what's going to happen is when I click this ready button, the timer will start and it's going to start playing some music and some sound effects, and it's going to let me know when it ends, and that's when I have to stop rolling. I can still use the dice left in my tray at the end of the timer, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so we're about ready to go for our first round, and basically all we need to remember is run, jump, jump. So let's hope we get what we need. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to push ready, and you'll hear pretty quickly what happens. Now roll. Okay, so we've got our first one. We've also got our jump for the first one. We're going to have to roll them again. We're going to have to roll them again. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Oh no. Aha, okay. So we got that. Roll. Oh no, okay. So, as you saw, I panicked and I actually threw a dice up here instead, but we know that we got the second one. With the dice left in the tray, I'm just going to spend this one to do the damage, but there. And now we go on to the third phase of a turn, which is basically the resolution. So, let's get on with that now. Okay, so now is the time we resolve the cards. We basically do this in the same order we had to solve them. So, in this case, I would resolve this one first, in which case I managed to complete the card, so that's going to get discarded over here in the discard pile. So that's fine. Then on the second one, we did complete the card, and we also got a shot in, so that's going to do 1 damage, but there. So now he's on 5 health. But we did fail this one here, so unfortunately, this means that because we failed that, we're going to lose one of our HP tokens. So I'm just going to place that there to show we've lost 1 health. Okay, so that brings us on to the next draw phase, and we're basically going to draw the same as last time. We're going to draw 3 cards unless we draw a wallop. Oh, there we go, we draw a wallop. So this time we're going to draw 4. We never draw more than 4. And in this case, what we have here is we have a parry, which means we're going to gain a parry token if we can solve this one. We have a wallop, which means we're going to gain one of these special wallop cards here, which usually have some form of mitigation on them. In fact, that's probably the only mitigation in the game. And we've also got a jump and a run. So we need to remember parry, wallop, jump, run. And as they're all ones, it is actually possible that we might get some damage out of this as well. So let's get back to the dice rolling. Okay, so that means we're pretty much ready for this round. I'm going to be trying to aim for that parry because I actually think one of the things about the solo mode is that if I had 2 parries, I can get my health back. Also, in the solo mode, if you die and run out of HP, if you have 3 parries here, you can respawn with 1 health. So that's always worth noting. So parries are always worth looking out for. The wallop cards is also probably going to be useful to me. So even if I don't do any damage, I'm hoping to upgrade this round. Okay, we're now ready for some frantic dice rolling. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we really need that parry straight off the bat. We haven't got it. We need to keep rolling. We've got our parry, so we put that there. We've also got our wallop, so I'm going to place that there. We do have the X dice, which I'm going to place here. Then we've also got our run there. We just need to roll for a jump. Oh, we got our jump. I'm going to roll once more in case we do damage. Okay. Oh, we didn't do too badly that time. Let's check our resolution phase. Okay, so as we're going left to right, first thing we're going to resolve is this parry. And as we can see, we've got it. So we're going to discard that. And we're also going to gain one of these parry tokens, which is going to go on our board, which if you remember, I just told you will allow us to get some health back if we need it. Okay, the next one is the wallop card, and I did actually put my X dice here, but this actually doesn't count because this wallop card, we can't do damage on it. So we're going to take this, and we're basically going to take this, and we're just going to activate the wallop itself. And basically that means that I'm going to get to draw a card from this deck here, and keep it by me, ready for when I need it in a future round. And this is actually a really good one. This is shoot, so this basically means I can add a result in the resolution phase to cause some damage if I need to. So I'm just going to keep that next to my player board by here. Okay, and next we just got the jump and the run. So they're all fine. As you can see, we got our jump and a run here. So we're good now. We're going to draw cards again for the next round. And the cards we're going to be drawing this time is, we have a jump, we have a running jump, we have a run, and that's our 3 cards for this round sorted. Okay, so that brings us on to the next dice rolling phase. And this is basically going to be a jump, and a run. Okay, so let's see what happens. I got my dice in hand. I'm ready. Okay, so the first one we need is a jump, and we don't have it. Okay, so we need jump. We need a jump. We need a jump. We really need a jump. We got our jump. Okay, so we got our jump, and we're going to use the shoot as well. I'm going to roll these once more. I need a run jump. Give me the run jump. Run jump run. Run. Jump. Oh no. Okay. Let's go on to our resolution phase. Okay, so the first one was a jump, and we got our jump, and we also did 1 damage with that, bringing him down to 4. And then we've got a running jump, which we succeeded in. And then we failed this last one, which means we're going to lose yet another HP. Okay, so basically turns are going to keep going on like that until we basically defeat this by getting rid of all this health, which will then go down to the KO. And then what we would do is we would take this deck and then move on to the next deck, which is straight after this stop icon, which would get us on to the next enemy. Also, we need to remember that if this was to draw out and we needed to put more cards in, we'd basically shuffle all this back, put it by there, and just draw another 3 cards. And then at the same time, we would add one of these time tokens to my board, and it would actually mean that I would lose 10 points on my score at the end of the game. So this can really affect your grade. What we're trying to do is we're trying to do it well, and we're trying to do it quickly. So after that, then you would move on to this deck, and then there's also a 3rd deck in there, which comes with another stop. And once you've gone through all 3 decks, you'll reach a knockout card, which basically rewards you for 4 coins, which you can then use to buy stuff from this emporium, which has cool upgrades for your character as you move forward. So then, after you've defeated this bad guy, what you would do is you would take your 4 coins, or if this was your second time going through it, you'd only get 1 coin, as it says here. And then you go through there, and then you double check the achievements. So the game comes with these 4 achievement envelopes, and at the end of a game, you would basically check to see if you had actually completed this objective. So in this case, we'd only be able to open it if we completed it with 3 parry tokens. And then we would basically get the cards inside there that we could then equip to the character. After we'd done all that, we would then mark it down on our character sheet like so. Okay, so once we'd done that, what we would do is we'd score our game. And in this case, we would get 10 points for every HP we had remaining. We'd also get 5 points for every parry remaining. The wallops would get us 5 points. And then we'd also have 10 points deducted for each time token we had on our board. In this case, because of the way it works, the app decided to give us a D+. But we didn't actually finish a game. I just skipped to the end to show you how scoring works. And then we would basically get our grade based on the amount of points we got off this section of the table. So, now that you've seen how the game is played, let's have a look at the character sheet and show you how to save. And then we're going to go back to the table and tell you what I think. Okay, so this is how we'd save the game. And basically, as you remember, we got 4 coins. And then any equipment that we buy, we'd write down here. But we're not going to do that now. We could buy anything with the cards I showed you a minute ago. And then because we finished the first boss, we unlocked the second deck. And if you remember, we got our D-. So that is basically how you would score it. Now we have access to the second deck. That would basically mean you would put all the cards that we just used into this deck, apart from the shop. And then you would pull out the brand new boss deck for the second boss, which is this one here, which I'm not going to show you today, because that's kind of spoiler territory. But what they do is they add new rules and increase the complexity of the game as you get through it. They're also quite challenging. So now let's get back to the table, and I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay, so now that you've seen how the game is played, it's time for me to tell you what I think. And the first category, as always, is aesthetics. And I've decided to give this one an 8 out of 10 for aesthetics, because I did really enjoy the way it captures the look and the way the game sort of feels as well. I thought these player boards, they're nice and chunky. I enjoy the fact that the dice have these icons printed on them. I'm just kind of a sucker for these printed dice. I just think generally the game overall looks really good, and it fits the aesthetic of the video game really well. The only thing I will say is that I did find that the fact that every single one of, say, the Root Pack's potato guy, they all have the same art on them. Like, it would be nice if they were different poses to give you the feeling that the enemy was attacking you more. So that's the reason I've decided to give it an 8 out of 10 for aesthetics. So that means we're moving on to gameplay. Okay, so that brings us on to our next category, which is gameplay. And for gameplay, I've actually decided to give this one a 7. I did find that the gameplay was actually very frantic and challenging. I myself actually really enjoy the timer, but I also know that it can be quite divisive, and there's not really any way to play it without that timer. I also kind of found the game had a few pacing issues with the way it goes through the decks. Without spoiling anything, there is a point at which it'll just take your upgrades off you, and it just kind of feels like I was repeating that first mission a good few times, only to have the rewards I gained be taken away from me straight away. But that's kind of sort of in the same vein, like the difficulty of the video game was also quite high as well. The other thing that I found was problematic with it is that generally I found that there was very little mitigation in the game outside of these wallop cards, which are very limited because there is only so many times they're going to go through that deck before you have so many time tokens. It's not even worth winning. But I will say that because of these pacing issues and hardly any mitigation, that's the reason I docked it a couple of points and gave it a 7 out of 10 for gameplay. Okay, so that brings us on to our third category, which is accessibility. And I've decided to give it an 8 out of 10 for this one. I felt that the rulebook itself was pretty well laid out, and that the card text on some of the future decks, where it adds new rules to the game, was pretty clear and easy to understand. The game itself is actually pretty simple and quite easy to understand as well. I do think that some people might get flustered if they haven't played many games before and they're being told that they've only got a 20-second timer. That's probably something you might house rule in your case to maybe make it 30 seconds instead of 20. But the app doesn't support 30 seconds. And that's another thing I want to mention. The app does make scoring really simple. You don't have to do any of the math yourself. It just kind of gives you the grade, and then you can just carry on and play your next challenge or unlock some cards. I do really like the progression system in this. It kind of reminds me of Hogwarts Battle, the deck building game. So generally for accessibility, it scored 8 out of 10, which is pretty good for me. So let's move on to the total score. Okay, so that means that the total score for Cuphead Fast Rolling Dice Game is going to be a 7.6 out of 10. And that's a fairly good score from me. It's not a game I would turn down, and I have been having fun playing with it, but I understand that its timers might be divisive, and it might not be for everyone. So anyway, if you like the look of anything you've seen here, or just want to add something to your collection from behind me, please feel free to check out the link to Firestorm Games in my description. Also, it's glad to be back, so I just want to say before we go, if you like what you're watching, please feel free to smash that subscribe button up there and check out another one of my videos by here. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've been Johnny, you've been watching the Hexy Beast, and most of all, stay Hexy everyone!